So, this is the kind of thing when I hear this news, I put on my sort of former Brooklyn prosecutor hat of, okay, what can we do? And there are actually two things that the next attorney general can do with respect to the president, because the president has a very, very broad power to pardon, but he cannot pardon in exchange for something. In other words, there cannot be a bribe or a quid pro quo. So we talked last night about the pardon for Esformis, this major healthcare fraud defendant. And there you sort of really question, how did that happen? And the next attorney general can look into whether Trump or anyone else did this as a quid pro quo. Was there some money, for instance, would be the classic case. Second, the president may not be able to pardon himself. I'm sure he's going to try to do it. But, the president faces criminal exposure for obstruction of the Mueller investigation. And what we're seeing in the last few days is basically a confession. This is such strong evidence of obstruction. He's carrying out the dangled pardons that you referred to. He is now carrying out in real time. And one of the things that you can do as a federal prosecutor is you can put Paul Manafort and Roger Stone into the grand jury and ask them questions. And obviously you would wait until January 20th so that the president can't interfere with this. And you can ask them questions about, what were your communications with the White House? Why did you lie for the president? A whole series of questions. Now, if Paul Manafort or Roger Stone were to assert the Fifth Amendment at that point, and they may have a colorable argument for it, you can just immunize them and force them to testify. You'll be no worse off than you are now. But the idea here is that the president cannot necessarily pardon himself out of the obstruction criminal liability that he faces federally. So that, to me, is something where he may get hoisted on his own petard if you have an aggressive new attorney general in place in the Biden administration.
So even though the pardon power is plenary, if the president is giving out pardons in exchange essentially for bribe of obstructing justice or some other, if he's doing it as part of the commission of a crime, then retroactively he may have trouble with some of these pardons.
Yeah, and it may be the easiest way to think about it, that second piece, is the president may not be able to pardon himself. In other words, the president faces clear legal liability, in my view, for obstructing our investigation, and he may try to pardon himself. That issue of whether a president can pardon himself is undecided by the Supreme Court. And everything that he is doing now can be just additional evidence of that obstruction. And that will tee up for the Supreme Court the issue of whether the president can pardon himself or not. But I'd say President Trump has certainly created the worst possible record going before the Supreme Court to say, here's a really good reason why presidents should be able to pardon themselves, because we're seeing in real time just how outrageous it is in the way that the president is using this. You made the argument last night, which is, what if he told someone to kill somebody and then said, I'll pardon you and I'll pardon myself for that murder? That clearly cannot be what the Constitution allowed. So essentially, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and a number of other people can be put in the grand jury and asked about the president to beef up a future case against the president.